She said they were supplements. The hormones told a different story. The warning signs were there. I just didn't recognize them as warnings. By the time I realized something was wrong, my body had already chosen a direction, and it wasn't asking for my permission anymore. My name is Ariv, and before this story, my life was painfully ordinary. I edited videos for a living, sat for hours in front of screens, drank too much coffee, avoided conflict. I liked routine because routine didn't ask questions. And that's important, because when your life is built on avoiding questions, you don't notice when someone else starts answering them for you. I didn't grow up wanting to be someone else. I wasn't secretly planning anything. But there was a part of me that softened when I was alone. When Isabella wasn't home, I'd sometimes stand in the bedroom, holding one of her dresses up, not against my body, not in the mirror, just in my hands. The fabric felt intentional.
Designed. Alive.
I never crossed the line. Or, at least, that's what I told myself. Our apartment was quiet in a way that felt supervised. Clean lines. Perfect organization. Nothing out of place. Isabella liked control, not aggressively, not loudly, but subtly. Everything had a reason. Everything had a purpose. Including me. Isabella spoke with confidence people mistake for truth. She worked in wellness, nutrition, balance, hormone regulation. She knew the right words, the right tones. When she said something was safe, it sounded irresponsible not to believe her. She didn't demand trust. She assumed it. And I gave it to her. She didn't make a big deal out of it. No dramatic reveal. No pressure. Just a bottle placed next to my coffee mug. Take one a day, she said. You've been off lately. This will stabilize you. The label was vague. Almost intentionally so. I didn't read it carefully. That was my mistake. The first week felt smoother. My edges softened. My reaction slowed. Then came the moments that didn't have explanations. I'd catch myself adjusting my posture without thinking. My voice sounded different in my own ears, lighter, less anchored. And the mirror. The mirror became complicated. Not wrong. Not shocking. Just unfamiliar enough to be dangerous. One night, alone, I tried on one of Isabella's tops. Not out of excitement. Out of curiosity. It fit better than it should have. That's when fear finally replaced denial. Because clothes don't lie. Bodies don't adapt overnight unless something is helping them. And suddenly, that bottle on the counter didn't feel harmless anymore. I didn't stop taking the supplements. I didn't confront Isabella. I didn't ask questions. Because a part of me was afraid of the answer. And another part, the part that felt calmer, softer, quieter, was starting to wonder what would happen if I didn't stop at all. The first real change didn't scare me. That's the part that still haunts me. If it had hurt, if it had been obvious, I would have stopped. Instead, it felt good. My mornings became quieter. Not peaceful, muted. My muscles felt less tense. My movements smoother, almost rehearsed. I noticed it while walking to the kitchen. My steps were lighter, closer together. I corrected myself. Or, at least, I tried to. Because the more I focused on acting normal, the more unnatural normal started to feel. I avoided mirrors for a while. Not because I saw something shocking, but because I saw something developing. My face looked softer around the edges. My skin didn't feel the same under my fingers. One morning, I leaned closer to the mirror and froze.
My chest.
Not bigger. Not obvious. Just different. Like my body had quietly changed the blueprint without notifying me. I kept taking the supplements. Every excuse sounded reasonable. Stress can do this. Weight shifts happen. You're imagining things. And Isabella never said anything. That silence mattered. She watched me closely, but not nervously. Like someone checking progress. It happened on a weekday afternoon. Isabella was out. Work calls were done. I stood in front of her wardrobe longer than usual. This time, I didn't just touch the fabric. I picked a dress. Simple.
Soft.
Casual enough to feel accidental. When I pulled it over my head, my heart started racing. Not excitement. Recognition. The dress didn't fight my body. It rested on it. That's when panic finally arrived. Because clothes shouldn't feel like they belong unless something underneath has changed. Every sound outside the apartment felt louder. Elevator dings. Footsteps in the hallway. I practiced moving, walking, standing, turning. Not to look feminine. To avoid looking wrong. And the scariest part? I was getting better at it. That evening, Isabella studied me.
Not openly.
Not suspiciously.
Casually.
You've been different, she said. My stomach dropped. Different how? She smiled.
Calmer.
More balanced. Balanced. That word again. She reached out and adjusted my collar, a small, intimate gesture. Her fingers lingered longer than usual. I didn't pull away. Later that night, alone in the bathroom, I picked up the supplement bottle again. This time, I read the label carefully. Still vague. Still clean. But the ingredient list, I didn't recognize half of it. That's when the thought finally formed clearly. What if this wasn't about helping me? What if it was about changing me? I held the capsule between my fingers for a long time. Then I swallowed it anyway. Because by then, stopping felt riskier than continuing. And deep down, beneath the fear, beneath the confusion, there was a quieter truth I wasn't ready to admit. Part of me wanted to see how far this would go. I stopped reacting emotionally. I started observing. My body wasn't changing randomly, it was following a pattern. Weight distribution. Sensitivity.
Posture.
These weren't side effects. They were results. I caught Isabella watching me in reflections, mirrors, dark windows, even the TV screen when it was off. She wasn't worried. She was evaluating. One morning I skipped the supplement.
Just to test something.
By afternoon, my head felt heavy. My mood dipped sharply, too sharply. When Isabella came home, she noticed immediately. Did you forget today? She asked. I froze. I don't think so. She didn't argue. She just handed me a glass of water and the bottle. Your body needs consistency, she said softly. That's when I realized. She wasn't guessing. She knew. My old jeans felt wrong. Tight in places they never had been. T-shirts hung differently on my chest. I switched to looser clothes, oversized hoodies, not to hide femininity, but to hide change. That's when cross-dressing stopped being curiosity. It became comparison. When I wore Isabella's clothes, nothing pulled. Nothing resisted. They fit the body I was becoming. Isabella came home early. I was still dressed. No wig. No makeup. Just a blouse and leggings. Footsteps outside the door. My heart slammed so hard it felt audible. I barely had time to lock myself in the bathroom. She knocked. You okay? My voice came out wrong. Lighter, breathier.
Yeah.
Just shower. Silence. Then her footsteps moved away. I slid down the door, shaking. Not from fear alone. From realization. I hadn't been embarrassed. I'd been afraid of interrupting the process. That night, I searched the ingredients. One by one. Medical forums. Academic papers. Side effect lists buried deep in comment sections. Hormone modulators. Estrogen-adjacent compounds. Long-term feminizing effects. My hands went cold. This wasn't wellness. It was therapy. Unconsented. Undisclosed.
Permanent.
At dinner, I tested her. So, what exactly is in those supplements? Isabella didn't look surprised. She smiled.
Why?
Do you feel different? I held her gaze. Yes. Her smile widened, just slightly. Good, she said. That means they're working. That was the moment the power dynamic shifted. Because she didn't deny it. Later that night, I stood in front of the mirror again. This time fully dressed. Not hiding. Not experimenting. Accepting. The person staring back at me wasn't pretending. They were forming. And for the first time, I wondered something terrifying.
What if she didn't force this on me?
What if she just removed my ability to stop it? I went to bed that night knowing two things. Isabella had planned this. And whatever she was turning me into, she expected me to finish becoming it. The problem with secrets isn't keeping them. It's realizing the world doesn't pause while you do. The changes were no longer private. At the grocery store, the cashier hesitated before speaking. At the elevator, A neighbor smiled, then corrected themselves mid-sentence. Sorry, I thought you were. They stopped. I walked faster, kept my head down, because suddenly I wasn't passing as anything. I was in between. And in between is where attention lives. She didn't ask me to take the supplements anymore. She just placed them next to my plate. Every morning. Every night. Routine had become enforcement. You're adjusting well, she said one evening, circling me slowly. Your body is responding beautifully. Beautiful. The word landed harder than any insult. I wanted to argue, to accuse her. But when she adjusted the strap of my top, a top I hadn't consciously chosen to wear, I froze. Because part of me didn't want her to stop touching me. The knock came, without warning. 3 sharp taps. I was dressed. Isabella wasn't home yet. No makeup. No wig. Just soft clothes that explained nothing. Another knock. Maintenance, a voice called out. My heart spiked. I couldn't change fast enough. Couldn't hide what my body had already decided to show. When I opened the door, the man's eyes flicked over me. Confusion, calculation, politeness. Ma'am, sorry. Apartment inspection. I nodded. Didn't correct him. The word ma'am echoed long after the door closed. I sat on the edge of the bed afterward, shaking. Not because someone had seen me, but because being seen hadn't hurt as much as I expected. That scared me more than anything else. Because fear keeps you fighting. Relief makes you surrender. That night, I skipped a dose again. Within hours, my body rebelled. Hot flashes. Dizziness. A pressure behind my eyes that felt like withdrawal. Isabella noticed immediately. She didn't get angry. She got calm. You can't stop now, she said. Your body won't forgive you. That wasn't concern. That was a warning. While she spoke, something slipped. One of my heels, hers, originally fell over onto its side. I stared at it. A small thing. Insignificant. But it felt symbolic. A life tipped past balance, unable to stand the way it once had. Isabella picked it up and placed it back in line. Some things, she said quietly, only work when they're worn correctly. That night, I lay in bed, fully aware of the truth. This wasn't about exposure anymore. This was about dependence. And the most dangerous part? I no longer knew where her control ended and my acceptance began. There's a point where fear stops screaming and starts whispering. That's where I was. I woke up one morning and realized something was missing. Resistance. My body moved without friction now, hips shifting naturally, shoulders relaxed, breath softer. I didn't try to move differently. I just did. That was the moment denial finally died. Because denial needs effort. And effort was gone. I opened my side of the wardrobe. Nothing felt usable. Jeans felt aggressive. Shirts felt wrong. Too stiff, too loud. I closed it and opened Isabella's instead. This time, there was no hesitation. I dressed carefully, deliberately. Not like someone experimenting, like someone choosing. When I looked in the mirror, my chest tightened. Not panic. Grief. Because the person looking back at me wasn't visiting anymore. They lived here now. I didn't plan it. It came out the moment Isabella walked in. You planned this, I said. She didn't ask what I meant. She set her bag down slowly. Yes, she replied. No excuses. No denial. Just truth, finally unmasked. You needed help becoming honest, she continued. You were already halfway there. My voice shook. You drugged me. She corrected me calmly. I guided you. She told me everything. How she'd noticed my reactions early on. How my comfort around femininity wasn't curiosity, it was alignment. You were suffocating yourself, she said. I just removed the mask faster than you would have dared to. I wanted to scream, but part of me knew something worse. She wasn't wrong about everything. That realization hurt more than the betrayal. I told her I was stopping, that I didn't care about consequences. She nodded once. Then she showed me the reports. Hormone dependency. Stabilization thresholds. Reversal risks. Stopping wasn't freedom. It was damage. You're past the point of undoing, she said softly, but not past the point of choosing who you become. That was the cruelest part. She hadn't stolen my choice. She delayed it until escape wasn't an option. I locked myself in the bathroom afterward, stared at my reflection for a long time. This time, I didn't look for the man I used to be. I mourned him, because he wasn't lost. He was finished. And what replaced him was breathing, waiting, undeniable. When I came out, Isabella was waiting. Not triumphantly, patiently, like someone who knew the next step had to be mine. And that terrified me more than anything she'd done. I left the bathroom and froze at the living room doorway. Isabella was sitting on the couch,
Calm.
watching me like she always had, like she knew I'd never be the same. The supplements had done more than I feared. My reflection no longer belonged entirely to me. My phone buzzed. A notification from the building's group chat. Someone saw you in the hallway earlier, looked amazing. Panic and disbelief collided. I hadn't seen anyone. Had someone really noticed me? Or was Isabella controlling even this narrative? Later, alone again, I faced the mirror. I didn't see the man I once was. Not completely. I didn't see a woman either. I saw both, blurring, shifting, impossible to separate. I touched my face. My hands felt foreign, yet familiar. A whisper in my mind. Do you want to stop, or do you want to finish this? I couldn't answer. Because the truth was, I didn't know who I was anymore. Footsteps outside. Her voice called through the door. Time to get ready. For what? I didn't know. I wanted to ask, but my throat wouldn't move. She opened the door, smiled. You're ready. You know it. The calm in her voice was more terrifying than any anger, because she didn't need to order me. She just expected it. She handed me a small box. A single pair of heels. The ones I'd accidentally tipped over before. They go with you now, she said. And they stay with you. I looked down. The heels were tiny, delicate, perfect. I knew the moment I slipped my feet in, I could never go back. I froze. Do I fight this? Do I resist? Or do I surrender to what my reflection already knows I am? The phone buzzed again, this time a notification from social media. A photo of me someone had seen. Tagged. Comments rolling in. She looks amazing. Can't believe it's the same guy. OMG, what is happening? And in that moment I realized I wasn't hiding anymore. I couldn't hide. Not from the world. Not from Isabella. Not from myself. I took a deep breath and stared into the mirror one last time before stepping out. Somewhere between fear and desire, curiosity and surrender, I whispered, "Who am I now?" And the screen fades.